All right, welcome back to another TFT Galaxy podcast. We're on episode 18, where we high press on the news and the tactics of the club we love, the LA Galaxy. Today we're covering preseason results heading into Coachella Valley Invitational. Are Glesnes and Haak capable of pushing the team into a playoff contention? And some general Galaxy news and rumors. Welcome, everyone. How we doing, Chris?
How are you, Eric?
I'm doing good.
Nice.
I'm doing good.
Nice.
We got some results in, and there's some Galaxy news, and there's things happening, and games are about to occur, and it's all quite exciting.
Yeah, it's a big, the big kind of last push preseason wise before everything starts. So it's becoming real.
It's about to start here.
Yep.
Speaking of starting, let's if you haven't already, follow, subscribe. We really appreciate it. Leave a comment on our videos, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, or Apple. And if you have something longer, send us an email at finalthirdgalaxypodcast@gmail.com. It's on your screens right now if you're watching. One such comment we received on our last YouTube is from @RadioLex76, who says, Royce will be injured after a month, and Tommy will be starting. Once he goes down with injury, then what? Both guys are injury prone. Lots of games between CCC and the league. This is worrisome. Not re-signing Fagundes is wild to me. He was reliable and played a lot of minutes consistently. What do you say to that, Chris?
I want to start at the bottom with the not signing Fagundes part. You're absolutely right, Radio Lex. He was very reliable. He did play a lot of minutes.
A ton.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing, though. For me personally, for what we need or what we needed in terms of that creative player and everything, just playing consistent minutes isn't good enough for what we needed and for what we need. We need someone who's actually going to be productive and show up on the score sheet and be the guy that pushes us forward in terms of attacking options. And I do not think Diego Fagundes was there to do that.
Yeah, and either apparently did the Galaxy. And I think most people, if you peruse Reddit, and I know it's not the most reliable thing for news and everything, but I think most fans were in agreement of not re-signing Fagundes just because it wasn't going to move the needle forward per se, right? It was just status quo. But I don't know if he or she Radio Lex, I'm not sure, but they do have a point, right? I mean, he played a ton of minutes. So to that point, what does happen if Royce and Tommy both get hurt? Who is going to play that 10 position as of right now? Who do you see?
That's a
who
good
gets
question.
slotted in there?
That's a good question. I have no idea. Looking at it, based off of what we've talked about the last two times, that might be an Elijah Winder position, especially if he's continuing the same type of form that he finished last year with.
Yeah.
Then
I gotta think it's gotta be Elijah Winder, right?
Yeah.
It has to be. Or we set up completely different and we do some different formation or something and we play two forwards and Winder plays a false nine as a forward and we go two center mids or something like that. But I guess it is a good point. I mean, we don't really have much cover after Tommy at the 10, but I think you're just hoping Royce or Tommy are always available. One of them's always available. And now Tommy did have injury concerns last year we looked at, but years prior to that, I mean, he got injured here or there, but not huge swaths of the time. But
no, in terms of injury concerns, you look at Marco Royce more than Eric Tommy,
right?
Just because you've seen Marco Royce go down, not just go down with bumps and bruises, he would go down with some serious stuff, and he would go down at some very inconvenient times, not only for his career but for the teams he was playing on.
For his whole career, he's had bad luck with injuries.
Yeah, but again, if we're just looking for someone to play a lot of minutes consistently, you could kind of just throw anybody up there. Because, you're going to have someone to play the position no matter what. So if it's just someone to play the position and that's all Fagundes was being reliable, and at least it's the same person. You can throw anybody.
Well, I mean,
out
I guess the only answer to this question is time's going to tell, Radio Lex, right? I mean, maybe they're both healthy most of the year, and this never becomes a problem. If it does become a problem, I guess you're going to see what Vanny's solution is going to be, and if it's going to be adequate. Maybe it is Winder, and maybe it's adequate. Maybe it's putting Nacimiento as kind of like a false 9, and maybe that's adequate, or maybe Sanabria goes in there. We don't know, but I understand it's probably the biggest concern, right? We are stacked at defense now. Outside backs we seem pretty good on. Pivot positions we seem pretty good on.
Yeah.
8s we're pretty good on. We're good on the outside, wings. We're good at forward position now, as long as no one's moving anywhere. And the last position is the 10, which we are the thinnest at. But
yeah. Now, at the beginning, we did talk about, you mentioned, can Glesnes and Haak be the 2 new signings that push this team forward? And I was looking through Instagram and everything, and the Talking Galaxy podcast asked a very good question in there. I think it's their most recent rendition, or the most recent episode. They were talking, are the Galaxy still missing Mark Delgado? And number one, I want to get your take on, do you think the Galaxy are missing him? And if so, I don't know, your thoughts.
Are the Galaxy missing Mark Delgado from our championship winning year?
Yeah.
Yeah. But is Mark Delgado the same player he was in that championship winning year? I would argue no. First, in order to have a championship year, everyone plays above their level, right? I mean, that's how you win a championship. Everyone plays amazing. I think he did great. But, I mean, it's kind of a moot point too, though. I mean, he had to move. He was making too much money. What do you do? I mean, if we could break the rules, would I take Mark Delgado back if we can break all the rules? Sure. Do I think we've replaced him in somewhat with Sanabria and Winder and now Haak? Yes. I don't think we're going to be missing him this year like we were last year. And to be fair, we missed him last year. There was just so many changes last year. It wasn't just him, right? It was a ton of things that led to that terrible start. One of them being Mark Delgado.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I looked at it, my first thought this year was the same thing. You just, kind of the same thing you said. Were we missing him last year? Yes. Were we missing a lot of players? Yes.
Yeah.
But this year, I do think, at least from what we've talked about, that the Justin Haak signing is going to be the one that's going to be crucial, because if he sits in there with,
well, we hope, right?
Yes, obviously you hope, yes. But knowing what you get from Justin Haak in an MLS season, and knowing that he can play in that position, Edwin Cerrillo, just kind of has to miss that first MLS game, but those are 2 known quantities. Sanabria is still a very big unknown quantity. Elijah Winder is a known quantity, or at least more known. I'm not going to say we know 100% what he's going to give you over the course of an entire season, but we know what he's going to give you in the MLS. So while last year, yes, Mark Delgado was missed, he wasn't the only one. But I do not think this year it's going to be the same.
It will not be the same, because I think what happened last year is the Galaxy learned a valuable lesson, and that is we can't do what we did last year and just try and stay pat and, well, let's just try and survive. That's what they tried, right? Well, we'll survive without Ricky for a little bit, and we won't make many changes. That combined with the roster turnover just spelled doom, right? Sanabria was new. Winder was new. Ricky Puig is out. You just had so much roster turnover. Nacimiento coming in. You had so much turnover. And this year you don't have that turnover. And the guys you did bring in are MLS veterans. You went out and replaced Ricky. I mean, not his position, but at least you replaced his money in a DP level type player like Klaus. So I think the Galaxy learned we have to reinvest and we have to be good for this year. You can't just, and I think that's the lesson they learned. So did we miss Mark Delgado? Absolutely. Just the same way I think we missed Brugman and his depth. In the same way, obviously, we missed Ricky Puig and we didn't replace him. where although we might miss Ricky Pooch this year, at least we replaced him, right? Last year he was just a void that we never filled.
Yeah, and I think last year there was a lot of faith put in Marco Royce and what he could potentially do because of what you saw,
right?
What you saw him do when he played next to Ricky.
I think the Galaxy front office learned a lesson in being, I don't want to say negative, just in being like a realist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like being realistic, right? The defense isn't going to fix itself. We got to go do something about it. Ricky's gone. We can't just decide, well, Ricky's gone, let's figure out. No, we got to replace him somehow. We got to do things to move this team forward. And I think last year they just were like, well, we won an MLS Cup and I think we'll be good enough to compete. And you weren't. You learned a tough lesson in how real, to be real with yourself and to adequately figure out what this team needs. And I think the Galaxy learned a lesson, I think, because you went out and they signed a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't doing that last year. They signed Sanabria, who's unknown. Everyone's like, okay. They signed Winder, who's unknown. Okay. And all you heard was departure.
Yeah.
Now you're seeing these people come in, and it's very clear that the Galaxy is taking a very different approach than they learned from last year.
Now, in terms of name recognition, we kind of didn't like when you. I want to say when I say this, I mean the casual soccer fan or someone who knows more than just a casual, but doesn't know it to the extent that maybe the two of us do.
Okay.
I think we would be considered Galaxy sickos. One name that didn't pop up, who was actually just signed by Minnesota, is James Rodriguez.
He did pop up with Galaxy, not maybe with Galaxy itself, but it was like a bunch of MLS teams are looking at James Rodriguez.
Yeah. And now in terms of name recognition and what who he's played for, who he's played with, and his skill set, that probably could have been a very good one, or potentially, a good one. He actually signed for Minnesota today, I think.
I don't like it for Galaxy though.
No.
Like, okay, you can go get name recognition, that's fine, and he might sell jerseys and stuff, but he's past his prime, and I'm much more excited with the Haak and Glesnes than I would have been with James Rodriguez.
Well, in terms of that position.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do you think James Rodriguez would be an answer? I mean, he's getting older. How old is James Rodriguez?
I think he's my age. I think he's 34.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's the answer.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have been excited.
Okay,
he is 34. You're correct. So he's 34.
34, and now and Eric Tommy is a 20.
Yeah, I mean,
something year old.
Did he sign for Minnesota for DP money?
I didn't see what he signed for in terms of figure.
It just came through today, I think, officially. Yeah. So I don't think Minnesota's necessarily announced it. So I don't know.
I just saw that. I just saw that he signed.
I kind of like the fact that Galaxy didn't go out and sign some big time older player, and instead they looked at who can actually help us.
Okay.
So I think in that way, Galaxy has been much more targeted and result oriented in we need these people to win. And although James Rodriguez would be a big splash and make news, and people would be excited, and maybe he would sell jerseys, I don't think he would have been the answer.
Okay.
So, all right, well, let's move on. They had some games. We don't know much about the games. They played DC United first, and we won. What did we win? 4-1. 4-1 full time against DC United. Goals scored by Marco Royce, Nascimento, Paintsel, and Sanabria. So, I mean, that's pretty good. It's nice to see them scoring.
Yeah, I mean, seeing them on the score sheet looks good. Obviously, we don't know.
I like to see the goals, right? Like, what type of goals were they? Who assisted them? What was there key passes?
All those details and everything. Also, we don't see who. We don't see the lineup for DC. We don't know if they're playing.
We don't know how many minutes these guys played either.
Yeah, did DC come out and they said, "Oh, we're trying something new. We're trying certain guys in certain spots to see what happens." Because 4-1, you look and you go, "Oh, dismantled them," but it could have been 4-1 against.
Well, yeah, it could
A
have
team that's not going to play
They could have scored
many minutes.
They could have scored 3 of those 4 goals in 10 minutes when everything was changed. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we played OCSC, and again, not much news from OCSC except we won 2-0. Goals scored by Sanabria and Paintsel.
Well,
So there is I mean, I don't know how much you can take from preseason, especially from games no one's watching. But I think what you can take is Sanabria's found the score sheet twice.
yeah.
Painsel's found the score sheet a couple times. So, I mean, those are good patterns.
Yeah. And take this one with a grain of salt, too, because, it's a USL team.
It's a USL team. And I'm cycling through some pictures here. So you can see Yoshida and Peck and what's his name? I can't remember his name. He's our other 10. Whatever. That's who's going to fill in. I thought there was a picture here of, well, maybe not. So there's some pictures, but no video or anything. So it's tough to tell. What is good news, I feel like, and again, I don't know how much of this is strengthening, how much of it is real, but 3 preseason games so far, and we've only given up 1 goal. I mean, that is good. We scored, 7 goals in 3 games and only given up 1. So I think that's amazing. But we're going to see, I guess, let's see. We have some upcoming games now that everyone's going to have a chance to actually watch. So we have Coachella Valley Invitational coming up, and so we have Chicago. That's Sunday. We're recording this Friday. So Sunday, we have Chicago. And then Wednesday, St. Louis. And then we go right in the Champions Cup with Sporting San Miguelito. And then we have MLS opening on February 22nd. And the rest of the schedule is right there for February. And those are games that you can watch, real games.
Yeah.
And we'll learn far more. Galaxy released the other day, right here, officially that the CVI will be broadcast, all games available on LAGalaxy.com/stream. So you can watch those. So 10 a.m. Sunday, you can tune in and watch LA Galaxy play Chicago, and that'll much more likely be like a first team, at least for the first bit here, because real games are coming up, and we got Champions Cup coming up. And if you watch MLS this week or Champions Cup this week, they already started. So Galaxy has a pretty important game coming up. So you can tune in 10 a.m. on Sunday, LAGalaxy.com/stream, and 11 a.m. on Wednesday, February 11th. Same thing, LAGalaxy.com/stream, and you can watch that. Now, I don't know what
could have a full day of football on Sunday.
Yeah.
Start with proper footy, and then
That's right.
Leads into the Super Bowl.
That's right. Usually the camera angle is not great, and it's maybe 1 or 2 cameras, but it is what it is, and at least we'll get to see, I don't know. There's some questions, right? Who's starting at center back? Where's Haak going to play? How good does some of these new players look? Does Tommy play the 10 for Royce when he's done? Does he play outside? Where does Nascimento fit in? Is Christian Ramirez going to be there cheering from the bench? I mean, there's lots of questions, right?
Yeah.
We don't know. Is Christian Ramirez going to get any time?
But you know what? It is something that we can actually talk about a game.
Right. We should have at least have some
game.
footage of something that's happening, and somebody that looks good versus somebody who doesn't look good, or a better idea for what Vanny's thinking. Because right now, it's all rainbows and unicorns. I mean, we have 3 wins. We're 3-0. We've only given up 1 goal. Whether that's a testament to how well the Galaxy played or how bad the other teams have played or some combination of such, we don't know, but we will know more. I imagine, Chicago's coached by Berhalter.
Yeah.
And so I imagine they're going to be pretty well prepared. He had a pretty good season last year.
Are they playing in any non-MLS competition?
I don't think Chicago is, no.
Okay, so this could be, that Chicago game could be really interesting, because if that's kind of their, I don't know how many preseason games they've had, but if it's something where he wants to look at it as getting ready, you could potentially see a very strong Chicago side for most, if not all, of that CVI
Well, not
game.
only that, but Berhalter's a pretty intense guy, right? He's not somebody who takes things too lightly, I don't think. And I don't think those Chicago players are going to be coming in too lightly in that game. I think Berhalter is going to have them raring to go,
especially if that's their first preseason game. Then they're going to want to be on it. They're going to.
I'm sure they played a couple just like we have, closed door type things and stuff, but it'll be nice to get a look at the Galaxy, and we'll see what we got. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm optimistic and a little excited with the Haak and Glesnes thing.
Yeah, those are going to be big.
I think our main problem has just been that transition back, stopping these cheap goals from going in, concentration on set pieces, being competitive in tackles and stuff. And I think they answer a lot of those questions.
At least on paper, we're gonna see all those. Well, obviously being two of the guys that we watch a lot of the games, and this is what we saw. This is the big things that we saw, which were issues, and how we got off to such a dismal start last year. That this is, if that's something that Greg Vanney sees, and
you say on paper, but it's not just all on paper, Chris. There's Glesnes in a Galaxy jersey getting his best 11 defender. He was on the MLS best 11 as a defender. He wasn't the best defender in the league. He didn't get defender of the year, but he was on the MLS best 11 last year. So it's not all on paper. I mean, this is a guy that has been winning, defender of the year and been in MLS best 11. He's got awards to prove that he is, he's legit. And so
he is. And now just as long as he can do it in a Galaxy jersey.
Yeah. If he could hold this guy accountable right here.
That one of them.
That's one of them.
Yeah, that's one of them.
So I'm pointing to Yamane in the background. Yeah. And we certainly hope that. I really do think Glesnes is, I don't know. It's early, right? But I got to think he's in the running for captain. He was Philadelphia's captain. He was spoken of very highly by the coaching staff in Philadelphia. He comes over here with the main purpose of our defense is terrible. We need help with the defense. I think there's a good chance he gets the armband, and hopefully he holds that back line accountable and can rein some of these guys in and show some aggressiveness and some competitiveness in that back line that has been missing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think he'll be too shy to let someone hear it, even if it is a new teammate. I don't think he'll be shy if Yamane does something that he has to cover for or anything like that. I think he'll be up.
You don't win these accolades and be talked about the way he's talked about without having that cutting edge and that competitiveness that I think we're missing.
Well, especially at the center back spot, because I mean, we've been around the game enough, and we've coached different styles of players where, some of the hard-nosed guys aren't the biggest personalities, but the work rate and everything else is second to none. Yep.
The only concern I guess anyone should have about Glesnes is the change in system and him being asked to do a little bit more on the ball than he's used to, at least with his time with Philadelphia, right? He's going to be asked to build out of the back, and he hasn't been asked to do that in the last 3-4 years. So I guess that could be a slight concern, and that's something I think if you watch the CVI games, maybe something to kind of keep your eye on is how good is Glesnes on the ball? How comfortable does he look in the build-up? Because he's going to be asked to do that. Yeah. So that's a good little thing to keep an eye on. And also, like, where does Haak play? And who pairs with Glesnes? Is it Yoshida? Is it Garces? I think we all think we know. We all think it's going to be Garces, but
that's the question we've been asking since he signed: is who's going to play next to him?
Right.
So,
and we don't know that. So hopefully we'll find more out, and we'll see. I'm getting excited. I mean, I'm really interested to see how he does in terms of bringing the back line together, and I'm really interested to see Haak, his personality on the field, and what he can bring at that sixth position, like what competitive nature, what does he bring, right? What does Haak bring to the team? We know he's good. We know he's younger. It's going to be interesting to see what he brings to the Galaxy team.
Well, here's something also, we talk about, is Justin Haak going to play with Glesnes? Is Justin Haak going to play the 6? that all could be answered in the summer or at least post World Cup, because there's been talks that the Galaxy are still in communication and are still looking at the possibility of bringing Casemiro in from Manchester United. When
I don't know how much weight I put on those. I don't know.
But you know, it's one of those things that we see it, and we've seen it multiple times. It's something that you know, SI reported, and they're, you know, so it's getting traction, and
his contract's up, right? So he's moving.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of where he's moving, and I imagine a lot of teams are going to be interested in him.
Yeah, and you know, it could be one of those things where, number one, does he, you know, being
what does, I mean, you're, as a United fan, where does he fit in the United midfield? Like, what are his roles?
Oh, he is like the holding guy. He is the 6.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Defensive, deep lying ball distributor, because then you have players like Bruno Fernandes that go forward. Casemiro, you know, has scored goals, so he can get forward when asked to, but he is the deep lying playmaker, the 6 that kind of, you know, shields that back for United right now.
I mean, aren't we pretty good in that position? I mean, we got Haak now. We got Cerrillo. You got Sanabria, who could kind of play there.
Yeah, and again,
you got Parente, who could kind of play there.
Yeah, and it could just be another one of those things that you add him in there, and now Justin Haak, you know, you're not asking Justin Haak to be moving around as much. It's okay if you know, you get someone like Casemiro who can play and is just used to being that 6th spot, and then you go, okay, Justin Haak and Glesnes are the 2 central guys.
Sure,
you know, that could be it.
I mean, here's one of the problems, and I'm sure as a coach before you've had the same problem, right? And one of the things as a coach you have to try and figure out is you want to get all your good players on the field at the same time. And it's a headache when, like, man, I got 3 good forwards. How do I get 3 forwards on the field at the same time? Like, can one of them play a different position?
That's the thing.
And so now we're talking, okay, how do we get all our center backs on the field? And one of those answers is, okay, push Haak up to a double pivot or something. And now we have all our guys on. If we add to that position, now you're like, okay, how do I get Garces to the field now? Now, I just think that's a negative for the Galaxy, because now you have one of your best players sitting because there's no room for him. And you're weaker in other areas of the pitch, but you can't put Garces there. So I think if the Galaxy's looking at this, they got to be thinking the same way, right? Like, we got to get all of our good players on the field to be successful. And strengthening a position where we're basically already strengthened and we're already pretty strong, I think would be a mistake. So I hope they don't do it. And do you think he would require DP level money? I don't know. I think he would. Well, speaking of DP level money, the Galaxy would have to get rid of someone, right? And there are rumors floating around right now that one of the people that is being looked at is Joseph Paintsil by several French teams and a Turkish team. Now, again, the Galaxy is reportedly asking between 20 and 23 million. I don't know. That doesn't mention what these offers are.
Yeah, it just shows that 2 League One clubs came in and they were rejected.
Galaxy cannot get rid of him right now, right? They can't. They can't. They can't afford to, because of what they did last year. Knowing they have to start strong, even if they come in with like 20 million, I got to think the Galaxy are going to say, like, we can't right now. Like, we're not in a position to do this. If they were to do this, everybody would be upset.
Yeah.
And most of all, I think he'd probably be very professional about it. Greg Vanney would be extremely upset because his job's on the line. And you can't really reinvest this money until July. Now,
no, that's
you would
the
be
big
putting
thing.
yourself on a pretty bad spot by getting rid of Joseph Paintsil right now.
At this moment, correct.
Right.
If the only way I could see him leaving for at least right now is if they came in with just some absolutely bonkers offer that you cannot turn down for him.
But
Like,
what would that have to be though? Because
I would
you got to
say-
imagine the Galaxy. Here's how I think, or here's how I hope, and I think the Galaxy are operating right now. We have to start well this year. We have to. Like, we can't make any moves at this point in time that are going to put into question how we can compete at the beginning of this year. And by getting rid of Joseph Paintsel, you are hurting the team in a major way, and you are putting a lot of pressure on the rest of the team. And there's going to be a lot of people. It's going to be way tougher to start well if you get rid of Joseph Paintsel right now.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine them even if they come out $25 million. Like, is it worth $25 million to Galaxy for every fan to be upset, for airplanes to be in the air saying Vanny out, for ticket sales to go down, for your world, for the rest of the world to drop their valuation of your entire club, for you to not do well in Champions Cup? Like, what the price tag of that has to be astronomical on my side. I mean, you better be coming in with 40, 50 million, which they're not going to because he's not worth that.
Yeah.
Because letting it go for 20 million sounds great, but what you're putting yourself into by getting rid of him is going to be a whole lot of headaches for that front office when things don't go well. Because if things go well, okay, good, we net 20 million. If things don't go well, get ready for the banners, get ready for the people to be calling for heads, get ready for them to say the entire front office doesn't know what they're doing. And it's gonna be the most, a stadium full of animosity, which is going to be very tough for the rest of the players to perform in. So you got to say no.
Well, yes. Now, the one thing we can kind of take solace in is at least the European transfer window has closed and he hasn't gone anywhere.
Well, they said this ends. What did they say? Turkish transfer window is open until February 6th, which is today, right?
So today.
So as we record this, we haven't heard anything. In Turkey, I assume is 9 hours ahead of us. So it's closing time now, and we haven't heard anything.
Yeah. So that's at least good news. Okay. You'd have to think that he's going to be part of Ghana's World Cup team.
Right.
Okay. If he goes and has just at least for him, a monster World Cup, say they make it out of their group, say they make it out of the group. He ends up on the score sheet a couple of times. He's just causing headaches for everything. Number one, that could increase that valuation for him, and that could get it to that quote unquote astronomical number. For me, it would have to be at least 35 million.
Well, and then
for it to be not
when that hits, at least that offers the Galaxy an opportunity to reinvest that money.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And because with that, you could say, okay, if after the World Cup, a team's going to come in at 30 plus, right? We'll just call it 30 plus for him. Well, now the European transfer window's open. You look at players that are out of contract, even you could find a pretty good replacement,
right?
And it would be right at the time.
I still think it would be. It depends on how the Galaxy are doing, but
of course. If
they're doing well, it would still be dangerous to do because Galaxy fans are just begging for a playoff team and a playoff run this year.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it in terms of how easy it would be to replace him because you're smack dab in the middle of the summer market or the summer window. Anybody that maybe if you look at it and you think this is even a possibility, and Will Kuntz looks at it and goes, okay, this person is either out of contract or we could get him for this, boom, boom, boom. And again, he could potentially be preparing for this. He may also have he might also have the biggest not for sale sign on Joseph Paintsel ever. We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that would worry me about moving him at all, and I think it worries me even when his contract's up, is he's such a unique player and what he brings that even if you find a replacement per se, if it's not his speed that you're replacing, that's changed the entire makeup of the team, right? And and how he stretches teams versus how some other, let's say, ball playing winger stretches teams is completely different, which creates this unbalance in the team while they're trying to learn how to play with a new player. So I think just because his set of abilities is so unique and kind of rare, it would be tough to replace him.
Okay, I agree with that, and I want to present you with kind of a little bit of a difficult hypothetical. First, before I say that, can we both agree that he's not the greatest with the ball at his feet? He has moments where he'll still, dribbles go away and, a touch goes a little long and everything.
Yes.
Can we agree on that?
He is not a great dribbler.
Okay. But the speed is almost second to none.
Right.
Okay. What if so say all this goes down in the summer and you're able to get someone who, speed wise, maybe a tiny bit slower, a step slower in some things, but is a much better ball player.
Okay.
Much better with the ball at his feet, much better at doing this stuff, and can give you almost his speed, but a little bit more dynamic when dribbling, maybe a little bit better finisher, things like that. Are you willing to make the trade for that type of player?
I think it comes down to, I mean, it depends who you're asking. If you're asking me as a business person, if I was Will Kuntz, the answer might be yes, because I have a business to run. If you're asking me as a coach, my answer would be no.
Okay.
And again, I think the answer is no, because I don't think people realize, like, at this level, what a tiny change can do, right? Like, so right now the team's going to learn to play with Paintsel, and they're going to know he's not great with the ball, and they're going to know he's not going to beat too many men with it, and they're going to know how to find him with his speed.
Mm-hmm.
Just changing that one fact to saying, okay, now we have a better dribbler. It's not so much of like, even, okay, now we don't play over the top so much because he's a little slower than Paintsel. That's a problem already, right? But that's an easy problem. I think that's easy to fix.
Okay.
Easier to fix. I think your second problem is this dribbling outside mid that we get. How do we find a way for him to be successful? Because he has to be set up in a much different way to be successful than Paintsel did. So it's not so much like, how do we deal without Paintsel? It's how do we deal with a new player profile? And that player needs the ball maybe more than Paintsel wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe in different places than Paintsel wanted it. And if we keep giving him the ball where Paintsel wanted it, he's not going to be successful. And now you have like this weird, the margins are so small at this elite level that it eventually you would be successful, but it takes time to learn that, right? And so if you're changing in January and that's what you get, then I don't know. It's dangerous. I would say the same thing. Here's a good example. LAFC got Son, right?
Mm-hmm.
He brings a lot of like athleticism, so fits in easy to teams. But what if you brought in Son for Boanga?
Yeah.
Now you're not so sure. You're like, okay, they're similar, but can the team somehow, even though they're similar, figure out the little intricacies of how Son wants the ball and what his runs are versus Boanga's? Even though they're similar players, it could come off the rails real quick, especially in the middle of the season, even though they're of similar profiles. Okay. But if you add Son in and you keep Boanga, now you don't have to worry about it because Son's replacing some guy that he's 9 times better than. He's just going to outperform in every way anyway. So if you're replacing Paintsel, my concern as a coach would be, how do I make sure this new guy's successful? And he's going to unbalance the team. If you consider the team being balanced in whatever way it is, as in we play over the top to Paintsel, or Paintsel makes these runs, everyone knows it. He leaves, that unbalances the entire tactics of everybody. Mm-hmm. And now everybody has to try and figure out, how do we make it work? And maybe it works, but maybe it doesn't, and it puts us in a bad spot. Now, if I'm Will Kuntz and someone comes in with $35 million and I say, well, we got to do it. We got to do it because I can spend $35 million here, buy this guy for 10, we have $25 million left, and we can reinvest in the academies, and we can reinvest in more players next year, and we have a bigger, then you do it. But as a coach, I would not want to change a marquee player in July.
Okay.
What about you?
I like the fact that someone with a little bit more ball skill, and a little bit better, because if you get someone who's a little bit better finisher, right? Say they play, because right now we're playing, 2 inverted wingers for the most part, but
I think
speed
I
still
think it
kills.
yeah, sure. It looks good, but we've seen in MLS and in every league when people make these moves sometimes, they never settle in. Even though they're coming and they're supposed to be this elite talent that's going to solve these problems, and they just never settle in.
Yeah.
And I think it's a risk you can take if you have more cover, but Paintsel is Paintsel. Like, he's going to play every minute he's available.
Yeah.
And if you pull him off the team, it's not like it's Arsenal or Manchester United and they got 3 guys in the wings waiting if that new signing doesn't work out. If the new signing doesn't work out, people are going to lose their jobs and fans are going to go crazy. So I don't know. I wouldn't do it. Now, that all changes if the Galaxy aren't playing well.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not a playoff team and that bid comes in, bye. It all changes if he's not playing well. If he's not playing well and a bid comes in, bye. But if everything's going well and he's playing well, as a coach, I don't want to change anything that's going well as a coach.
Gotcha.
Because you know as well as I do, when teams you've coached in the past, one minor change can just ruin everything. Even if sometimes that change is a positive change. Oh, we got this great player coming in, and his personality or something just clashes with everybody, and all of a sudden, this guy is taken from the team, not giving to the team.
Yeah.
So that would concern me.
Okay.
Something else that concerns me, probably more than that, because I think they're on. I think Paintsel's staying, right? I think the Galaxy are with us on that, at least through July, and who knows. This concerns me, though, because there have been rumors of Cuevas being looked at by Mexican sides, and now we have another rumor that Tigres want to sign Cuevas, and just more people, showing interest in him, and the Galaxy have to ask themselves. I mean, this is a tough one because the Galaxy have to ask themselves, well, if he's not a starter and people are looking to spend $2-3 million on him, that's pretty good business.
Well, hold on. Let's start with that. Number one, the fact that he's not a starter is baffling to the both of us. Number one.
To a lot of people.
Yes. And I would love to just ask, off the record, be able to ask Greg Vanney.
Okay.
Why.
I'm going to tell you what Greg Vanney's going to say. He's going to say he's not a great defender. I guarantee that's what he's going to say. He's susceptible to getting beat, and he's not great on set pieces or early crosses into the box. He's just not great. We've seen that.
Yeah, the whole team, the whole back line last year.
Sure, he's not the only one. He's definitely not the only one. But Amane had his fair share of dealing with early crosses too, and being susceptible on the counter. But I that's what he's going to say, and I think I do think that's a fair criticism of him right now. However, it's a little unfair in the fact that he hasn't been given a run of games to show growth, to say, you think it's a problem, but I'm going to figure it out over these next 15 games. I'll figure it out. And he hasn't been given that opportunity.
No. And we said, even before we started doing this, and when we started doing this, you look at all the times that he would come on and it's just, he did something good again. Oh, he did another thing.
Bro,
he scored a goal. He had an assist.
He has the highest goal plus assist per 90 of half the team. Right? This is this year. Let's go to previous season. Goals and assists per 90. Cuevas is second to Marco Royce in goals and assists per 90.
Yeah, that's come on.
So, I mean, this is, and I don't think anyone's going to argue with that. I don't think Vanney would argue with that. I think everyone knows this is what he brings.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got to figure out the defensive side. But now,
we figured out that offensive side.
Now
we signed Jacob Glesnes.
Right.
Figured it out.
Right. So we've made some improvements in defense. But here's the thing that I think might happen this year. I think he might play this year, and here's why I think. Yamane's in the last year of his contract. So
you don't want to let him go for free.
Maybe, but what if he does? It doesn't matter.
And
you want to sell him, but my point is I don't think there's any longevity for Yamane at LA Galaxy right now. He will be gone at the end of this year, right? That's what I feel like, unless something else happens. So you have every incentive then to play Cuevas, who could have a 5-year career at Galaxy, and very little incentive to play Yamane, who has 1 more year in his contract. unless you absolutely think Yamane is just head and shoulders above Cuevas.
Which I don't think.
Which we don't think, but maybe Vanny does. Who knows?
No.
So I do think maybe you'll see Cuevas play a little bit more this year if they don't sell him, because I do think if something comes in for Cuevas and they eye it, it's one of those like Efrain Alvarez things where he's kind of playing, kind of not playing, and a bid comes in, bam, gone.
I will say, though, you brought up Efrain Alvarez. Efrain Alvarez wasn't doing this, though. He wasn't having this type of production.
No, he wasn't. He definitely wasn't. I don't know. We'll see. We're on the same page. I think a lot of our listeners and a lot of the Galaxy fans are too. You want to see Cuevas in a LA Galaxy uniform, and you want to see him playing more. Time will tell. We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, again, if I'm Greg Vanny, I'm not moving this team in any way, shape, or form right now. Like, everyone stays. It's all hands on deck. We got to turn this around. And Cuevas, as you can see from the goals plus assist ratio, second in the team last year per 90, this is someone who can add. And at the very least, and I think Vanny completely understands this, when we're down, bringing Cuevas on brings a little something into the attack. So I think, I don't care if it's $2 million. We got to keep him because we got to have a good year this year. We have to. Yeah. And now that we have Klaus, and now he's the best crosser on the team by far, he maybe becomes even more important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and thinking about what we were talking about earlier with the whole Casemiro thing, and wanting your best players on, at all times. Just thinking about how you could play that tactically. Yes, you may have to give up, John Nelson, but if you could have a back line of Garces, Glesnes, Justin Haak, and Cuevas,
you could, right?
That could be a potential.
Yeah.
It could be something like that. Because with two guys who are more defensive minded in both Garces and John Nelson, and you just go, hey, we're gonna sit three at the back. We're gonna sit three at the back. Cuevas, you can go up and down all you want, and we're gonna have three. You have a six in Casemiro who's just gonna sit there. So you got your four if you need to, and then you just kind of let everybody go forward like that. I mean, that's at least in my coaching mind thinks that's a good tactic. As simple and just easy as it sounds.
I agree.
I don't want to oversimplify it, but I mean, it sounds nice.
I think this CVI thing and the San Miguelito game, especially because it's a competitive game, we're going to learn a lot about where Greg Vanny is in terms of these players.
Yeah.
And does he legitimately not like Cuevas? Because again, I think this is a lot like Aude, right? Cuevas and Aude. If they don't play this year, I mean, how many years can they stay on a team and not play? I mean, they're both pretty good players. They're both starters on teams. If they transfer, they're both starters.
Yes.
So this has got to be a year for Cuevas. It's got to be a year for Aude. Whether it is or not, whether Vanny trusts him or not, those are some questions that we're going to get answers to shortly. But, I mean, if I was Cuevas, these guys are on social media and they go to Reddit, man. If I was Cuevas, I'd be so pissed, right? He knows everyone likes him.
Yeah.
He knows, man, everyone wants me to play and I'm not playing. He's got confidence in himself. The fans want him, and the Greg Vanny's saying no.
With odds.
Mauricio
Cuevas, if you ever need to feel the love, you ever need to feel like you're wanted in LA, just listen to the podcast because
or come on the podcast. Hit us up. Write us an email.
That'll be the day. That'll be the day.
Speaking of Greg Vanny, he was on this is the Instagram. He was on, well, I guess we could just pull up YouTube.
Yeah.
Let me, in case something goes on there.
Yeah.
So Kobe Jones had Greg Vanny on
the Kobe Club.
Did you watch?
No, I didn't have a chance because last week when we said that he was going to be on, I looked for it and then didn't find it. And this week has been hectic, so I did not have a chance to look at it. But it's something that I want to.
Okay. Well, I mean, you can. If you want to, but you're not going to learn much.
Oh, really?
So this is just a still frame. So Greg Vanny on 2026 LA Galaxy season, U.S. national team at World Cup and more. Kobe Club episode 6 he's on. And it's fine. I mean, it's definitely worth a listen if you want to learn more about Greg Vanney. He doesn't really go into detail about any LA Galaxy matters. They briefly hit a couple things, like, hey, I mean, I think Kobe lets him off a little easy, but just general things like, hey, how about Glesnes? Glesnes is great. How about that Haak guy? I think he's really going to help us. Hey, what do you think about John Klaus? I think it's a really good get. Like, what's he supposed to say? Those are softball type questions. He doesn't go into detail about his philosophy, about what he's going to do with these players, where's Haak going to play. He doesn't go into detail about anything we're talking about, like Cuevas, his future, anyone's future, just general Galaxy questions, and then a lot of U.S. men's national team talk about, the days when he was a national team player and what it meant. And then a lot of talk, if you're interested, about youth soccer, which we both are interested in. I don't know if you or a listener are, but he goes into a lot of detail about youth soccer and some of the problems and some of the things that are happening in youth soccer, and the fact that if you live in California like we do, which you probably do because you're a Galaxy fan, there are like 8 elite youth leagues, and everyone's in one youth league that's elite or not, and no one knows what the pathway is. And by the way, none of those guys in elite leagues are making the pros anyways, and there's just a whole ton of problems. And so it's interesting to watch for sure, but I don't think you're coming in and learning a whole bunch about who Greg Vanney is as a soccer coach with the Galaxy, or just his soccer coaching philosophy in general, because it's not really about that. It's more about his playing career and about reminiscing about old times and stuff like that, and about youth soccer. Not so much about the Galaxy.
Wow.
A little bit of a missed opportunity, maybe.
I want to listen to Greg Vanney's coaching philosophy and stuff like that. It would be really cool. Get him on a version of the coach's voice and see how he breaks down X's and O's.
That would be awesome, right?
That would be a great one for him. He
is just so, like, I don't want to say soft spoken, but calm. He doesn't have a lot of
there's not a lot of fire.
Yeah, not a lot of passion, over the top personality type thing. Not that he's not passionate or anything, but
it's
just
not
is very
outward.
Even keel. Seems like a really nice guy. I'm sure all the players love him, which we know they do, right?
Yeah.
He's real professional, which is all great, but he's not going to jump off the screen and give you a whole bunch of quotes to replay and stuff like that. But it's worth a listen if you're interested. Get to know him a little bit more. But you're not going to learn a whole lot about the Galaxy, which I think we were both hoping to get a little bit of insight into what he feels or what his coaching philosophy is.
One of these days, we're going to be able to talk with hopefully Greg Vanney if he's still coaching it, but just deep dive into some of these X's and O's with the people that come up with them, because I would love to hear just why certain things were done in certain situations and what's been thought about and everything, and why sometimes Greg Vanney can't figure out how to make a substitution before the 80th minute.
Hey, that was pretty negative there, buddy. He's going to walk right off the show. But yeah, I mean, calling into question like why were certain substitutions made, or like a simple question that everyone wants to know, right?
Yeah.
Just point blank. Where's Cuevas and why isn't he starting?
Yeah.
And like, what do you feel like he needs to work on? There's a reason why you're keeping him off the field. What is that reason? And have you communicated this to Cuevas, and does he know where he stands? I mean, that's a tough question. It puts him on the spot a lot.
Yeah.
But it's something I think everyone wants to know.
I could also definitely rephrase mine and saying,
you would have to rephrase it, because let's hope Greg Vanney's not watching, because he ain't coming on if you're going to ask him questions like that.
No, I would just ask him.
Hey, Greg, why'd the team suck so much last year?
I wasn't
What did
gonna
you
say
do
that.
about it?
I wouldn't do that.
He does talk about, and this is true, and you know this too, because we've both gone through this, but he's like, man, after I lose a game, I just want to go home and hide. I don't want anyone to see me at the supermarket or see me, because you're just thinking every time they're just like, that bastard lost us the game. He's the worst coach in the world. You hear, even though maybe you don't hear it, you feel all the people behind you when you're having a bad season or you're having a bad run of games. Everyone's talking about get rid of the coach, get rid of the coach, get rid of the coach.
Especially when they, one, weren't there, and two, don't know what is being said.
Right. That's why I mean,
behind,
know.
yeah, behind closed doors and stuff like that.
I can seem like a softie when it comes to like head coaches and stuff because I have so much sympathy and empathy for what they go through. I know. So it does bother me a little bit when people say like Greg Vanney has no idea what he's doing. Bro, do you know Greg Vanney has won 2 MLS Cups as a coach?
Yeah.
Do you know he's a U.S. men's national team player? Do you know in high school, which some of you are maybe listening, he won 3 state titles in a row and was the best player. And like, to say Greg Vanney doesn't know what he's doing is absolutely insane. Now, you could disagree, and you can disagree with how he's managing a team. You could disagree with maybe the tactics. Yeah. But to say Greg Vanney has no idea, it just bothers me so much because clearly he does. He's been successful everywhere he's gone. Now, you can question certain things about especially his sub policy sometimes or why he's not playing Cuevas in this case, which I have a problem with. But I would never attack him and say, like, what an idiot. He doesn't know what he's doing. But I would like to know where he's at and what he's thinking and why he's thinking that. Like, I think those are fair questions.
Yeah,
but
that's more so what I, because thinking about it, and I think about one of the interviews Sir Alex Ferguson gave after the 2009 Champions League final when United lost to Barcelona, and he actually, it's been God knows how long, between that game and that interview, but he gives a reasoning why he didn't do it, and like that, you listen to it and you're like, okay, I see what you're doing, right? So when I brought up that sub thing, it's like, okay, certain things, it's like,
I wonder, I think this for sure is true, but American media and soccer, and even like podcasters and stuff, we're not as critical as they are in like Europe and over there, like in the reporters, so right? Like Arteta has to answer very tough questions after games and losses. And when he loses, there's pundits on there asking and giving commentary, very tough commentary and very tough questions. You can't get away with it. Like, I think if this was Europe or something, they'd be asking right now, like, why doesn't, like a reporter would say, walk us through why Cuevas isn't playing right now. Like, we don't get it. A lot of people are confident to play. Why isn't it happening? Or explain that substitution you made. A lot of people are upset that you brought Barry in because he's Barry. And what team needs Barry on the field? Right? Yeah, like, what was that going to do? Did you really think Barry was going to save the game? Was that what you thought? Like, how was that? Walk us through what you're thinking there.
Yeah, there's definitely a gap in terms of difficulty of
let alone the podcast. I don't know what podcast is popular for Manchester United fans, but Arsenal has one, and they are brutal, man. Yeah. They are brutal. If they lose a game, they're outside talking to people outside of Emirates, and they're just ripping everybody. Everyone sucks. The coach sucks. We're all fire everybody. It's crazy. That's the first game we've lost in like 3 months. Now everyone's terrible. Yeah. Anyways, which is a whole separate problem for sure. But
there's a whole separate thing because I want to talk to you as an Arsenal fan about how some of your Arsenal fan colleagues are just absolutely delusional, but we'll talk about that off.
That can't be true.
We'll talk about it later.
You know what is true? Because this is interesting. I saw this. Who had it hardest? So Galaxy MLS doesn't have a complete balanced schedule. You play everyone in your conference twice, but they choose who you play cross-conference. And it turns out the Galaxy had the 3rd hardest cross-conference ranking last year. So the Galaxy had to play Orlando, Red Bulls, Philadelphia, DC United, Miami, and SC Cincinnati. All tough teams bar DC United. And as you can see, LAFC, because they're so terrible, they got the easy ones, right? They gave them the 2nd worst. They gave them all the cush teams to play down there. Yeah. So it does kind of suck when you see something like this, though. We had a tough year, but it certainly didn't help to play Miami and Cincinnati and Philadelphia and Orlando and Red Bulls. I mean, we played Philadelphia and had to take their best player just to make it work this year.
Yeah, and looking at this just adds fuel to anybody that says, like we talked about multiple episodes ago, for having your small conference and then going to and then playing everybody outside, because that would bring this, at least when you look at it, it would bring the cross-conference schedule to as fair as possible.
Right.
And so this just adds fuel to anybody that wants a change in how the schedule is made and who you play outside of your conference, or if they move on outside of your little regional bubble. I mean, for me, I'm all for making this as fair as possible.
I mean, you have to, right? It is weird to
Yeah.
just, you look at something like this and they rank this based on opponents' average points, in case you're listening. So they took the 6 cross-conference teams you played, averaged their points, and then made a little spreadsheet with who had the toughest opponents.
Yeah.
And Galaxy ended up having the 3rd toughest cross-conference schedule. It's really tough to do something like this and say, okay, so Galaxy's, their average was 53 points for their average opponents across conference, and LAFC's at 38.83. That's quite a gap. And then on the last day of the season, you broadcast decision day, and teams are out of playoffs or in playoffs for 2 points sometimes.
Yeah.
And there's from first to last year, there's like a 15-point gap.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty big gap in quality of competition you have to play that the other teams didn't.
Yeah.
And now you're out of playoffs for 3 points because you had to play Miami, who went on a tear last year, and this team got to play Toronto.
Yeah. Yeah. And going to what I said about what we talked about the regional wise, now the only argument you have is obviously, like, so you brought up Miami. So that means we played them. LAFC didn't. In the thing that we talked about is you'd play everybody outside of your region once. And then the only argument is, oh, well, we, say we traveled, LAFC didn't. It's like, well, yeah, we had to go to Miami to play them. It's like, okay, yes. Would it be more difficult? Because number one, you're flying cross country and everything like that, but at least you still have to play them.
Right. Yes.
And again, you're not going to have everything not everything's going to be 100% fair, but I'd still think your small region, a home and home, and then you play everybody else in the league once and you figure out where, if you're playing home or away, I think that gets us to the most or closest to perfectly fair. And then you just have a single table.
I'm curious to how the league decides what 6 opponents you're going to play.
Yeah.
Because if you look at those bottom 3, New England, if you got New England, you're in the bottom, like they were terrible, right? So for sake of argument, LAFC got to play NYCFC, who's a good team, Montreal, Chicago, who's a decent team, New England, Atlanta, and Toronto. And some of those teams just had terrible years. And I don't know how they how they're deciding this. Are they trying to make it fair? I assume they are, but because MLS is so yo-yo-y in terms of how teams turn things around and back up. For example, San Diego, who would have known San Diego would have been a tough game for the East opponents. So again, if you look at Toronto, who had a terrible year, they had the highest opponent average points. They had the toughest 6 games in the entire Eastern Conference. So maybe it correlates pretty well, right? Like Toronto had a tough year and they had a tough opponents. Atlanta, 3rd, they had a tough year. They had a lot of tough opponents. You look at Cincinnati, Orlando, Philadelphia, they all had good years. They're all at the bottom. They all had easier opponents to play.
Yeah.
So it's just, there's no solution right now, but it is unbalanced, and it's unfortunate that there's such a big swing in some of these schedules for these 6 games. There's a lot of points that you can lose or leave on the table just because you got screwed. So this year, LA Galaxy won't have to play Miami. Thank God, because Miami signed like 9 DPs this year somehow. I don't know how they're doing it.
Yeah.
But they shouldn't have to play Miami, and LAFC probably will have to play Miami. Yeah. So that's good. We could watch them get smashed.
Yeah. But yeah, it's one of those things looking at the league going forward and looking at how it's scheduled and everything. I think
there could be big changes, and maybe that's one of the reasons why they do it. We don't have much else. I guess Daniel Aguirre. Remember Aguirre? Mm-hmm. He played the 6th position for us for several years. I liked him. He was always a very industrious type player. He's at Chivas, and he scored 2 games in a row.
Good for him.
And was in the Liga MX's best 11 for week 4.
Good for him.
So that's good. Good for him. Always like to stay up to date on those players. Mm-hmm. Have you watched any Champions Cup?
I looked at I looked at the Pumas game.
Man, what
Pumas
the heck
against San
happened
Diego.
to Pumas?
Well, so I had a friend text me, and he was talking about it, and I said, San Diego's a good team. He was asking about it.
Novice just looked like, I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
he just kept taking the
Well,
ball back to that. For those that didn't watch, San Diego FC beat Pumas 4-1.
Well, yes, they won 4-1, but it's how they got there.
Oh man,
because
5% possession.
Well, you looked at it, and I told my friend, I said a draw is a pretty good.
Oh yeah,
a pretty good score to bet on,
because this is home and home, so this is game 1.
Yeah,
they'll have to go to Pumas to play again.
Yeah, and I was saying, Pumas is still really good, even though they, San Diego's, this was their first competitive thing, and I was looking at it, and like 72nd minute, it was 1-1. I go, man, that'll work out really well. I wake up the next morning and it was 4-1.
I watched it.
3 goals being scored after the 75th.
2-1, goal, 3-1. Goal, 4-1. It was it was kind of crazy.
I felt bad, but I was like, well, for 73 minutes, I was right.
So San Diego FC played pretty well. And then on the other flip side, Vancouver lost 3-0 to Cruz Azul. Now, they do have CONCACAF had rankings they did by club for the entire region. The webpage is down right now. I don't know why. But Vancouver was ranked 5th in all of CONCACAF for clubs, and Cruz Azul was ranked 2nd. So that kind of held. Probably shouldn't have been 3-0. I didn't watch that game. I'm not sure what happened to Vancouver, but they lost 3-0. That was 2 against 5. San Diego, because they're down, I'm just going to call them unranked. They're not in the top 20.
Wow.
And Pumas is unranked. They're not in the top 20. So, but San Diego won 4-1.
To have San Diego unranked after they made the conference finals in year 1. Yeah, you lose Chucky Lozano, but
they said they just look at like league placement, former Champions Cup. Only thing I can think of is they weren't in Champions League last year, so they didn't really.
They weren't a team,
right? So that hurt them, I guess. But Galaxy's ranked number 19.
Right.
They're on that top 20 list, and so we can zoom in here because our website's down. It's not a great view if you're watching. I'm sorry, it's a little bit blurry, but Toluca's number 1. That makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. They won the last year, followed by Cruz Azul. Inter Miami's number 3. I don't know if they know that they have 7 DPs this year, so maybe they'll go to first as soon as they figure that out. And if you look, LA Galaxy is all the way down at 19th place. Right. So we'll see. LAFC is in 8th, Seattle Sounders in 9th. Anyways, the list is on your screen. I don't know. I don't think this matters really because who the heck is ranking them and how, I don't know. But I mean, I guess in some sense, it's a good ranking in terms of I think Toluca is probably number 1. Miami definitely belongs up there. Vancouver had a great year, although I think most MLS pundits would think Vancouver overperformed last year. So I don't think they rank them quite as high as 5th, but maybe they deserve it just from that. Philadelphia Union's 12th. That's a joke, right? Because Glesnes is gone. He's at LA Galaxy.
Well, not only that, but
they lost a lot.
They lost a lot of players.
Philadelphia has reloaded quite a bit. I'm not sure on the comings and goings, but there's a lot of movement in Philadelphia. But
and again, this list is cool to have. It doesn't really mean a whole lot, but everybody loves a good ranking list.
Yeah, once that ball gets into play, this doesn't matter.
Anything.
But Galaxy ranked 19th. There you go, and we get to start our journey very, very soon. Yeah. All right, I think that's all we got, man. Quite a bit of news. We went through it. We filled our hour up, and we could probably sit here and talk for another, but
we could.
You probably already left, so we're going to end it right now. But in case you're still here, just remember we have that game coming up on Sunday. Pay attention. Watch that. It's live streamed. We have a game on Wednesday. It's live streamed. And we'll probably be back here later in the week, and we'll talk about both those games and maybe even have some actual things to talk about with the field, what's happening on the field and some of Vanny's decisions, and we'll know some more information. And then we'll be raring to go, and we'll have a Champions Cup game on the horizon.
Yep.
So it's about to get started. I'm getting excited.
Yeah, and we're a little more than 2 weeks away from the MLS season getting started, and we can actually talk about games, X's and O's.
We'll be back at the digs and enjoying it and eating our terrible food because the food there is absolutely terrible. But
so I bring my own.
Yeah, I don't eat there.
Before.
I definitely don't eat there.
No.
But anyways, yes, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. As always, leave a comment. And if you have anything to send us that's longer, Final Third Galaxy Podcast at Gmail. And thanks for everything. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you guys next week, and we'll have some games to talk about.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
See you guys.